we belong to this very special group with Pat Wolf. You know, she's an outstanding educator in the field of neuroscience in the classroom. And one of the my partners in this group was Betsy Hill, and she began to explain about this new product, BrainWare Safari. And she was kind of explaining it and demonstrating it, and then Pat Wolf said, this is the first product that I will endorse. And that's all she had to say for me. I didn't even have to read the research, I didn't have to do anything else. Her word, I thought, boy, Pat endorses it, because she doesn't endorse anything. So for her to endorse that, I knew it was an excellent product. But I did go and I did read the white papers and I did do the research, and even took the product home myself and worked with it before I even brought it to the school and so forth. So that's really when it was introduced. When you understand how the brain works and how the neurons talk to one another and how a neural pathway is set up, when a neuron is activated, it will spark and set off this neural pathway. BrainWare Safari, when you're playing the game, it triggers certain pathways. And every time it triggers that pathway, it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And those pathways are the exact ones that you're going to be needing for learning. For example, you're asking one child in particular. She was having a very difficult time remembering a set of numbers when she was trying to transpose onto her homework. So she would have to look at a math problem, 347 minus 12. She'd have to go 3, 4, 7, and so forth, each number at a time. And her mom was very aware of this and so forth. But when she went to play one of the games, as the children refer to them, and when she became using the same neural pathways that you do when playing one of these games, it became stronger and stronger. And all of a sudden, one day she's doing her math, and she's going 612 minus 4. 612 minus 4, and she looked up, dropped her pencil, and mom went, oh my gosh, you did it. And the only difference was BrainWare Safari. So you can see how those neural pathways, when you practice and keep doing those games over and over, they become stronger and stronger. Neurons that fire together wire together, and that's important to remember. So that's really what it's doing. And then you can transpose that and work it into your learning. The experience that we've had, I honestly see it in all areas, in all spectrums. It's taking that individual where they're at and moving them forward. I've seen high school kids, and I'll tell you the story of our high school students working with the program. I've seen children that are really poor readers, struggling. Title I students, for example, special education students, so they can benefit. We've also seen, I had a student in our pilot program that straight A student. Okay, straight A student going in, straight A student going out. And we were trying to see what changes have we seen. And we in all honesty, as teachers, didn't notice any difference. I mean, she had A's before, she has A's now. Didn't notice any difference. Talked to the parents, said, have you seen any difference? And the mother said, oh heavens, yes. And I'm like, what? And she said, it's the stress value. That it has completely changed her. I said, how? She goes, well, she was her own worst enemy. She had to get that top A. If she came home with a 96, she was like, no, this is terrible, I can do better. Or a 92, oh, this is awful. And she would put her, and we said, that's okay, no matter what we said to her. Well, when you participate in BrainWare Safari, you're going to be going along and you're going to hit that wall at some time. And it's tough, and you can't get through. It's not a piece of cake. And they realize you're going to have to struggle, you have to keep after it, and then finally, when those neural pathways get stronger and stronger, you break through. And what had happened is that she began to handle that whole idea of stress. When she comes up against something that she thinks is too tough, that's okay, I can handle it. And she goes, we just love it, just from that factor alone. There was a group of third graders, and they were in regular class. They've all participated in BrainWare. but this is a regular classroom. They were in social studies, I believe. And they were working as a team. And they had to figure out these problems. And one of the kids was getting very upset. And the response from the group was, don't you remember, Tony, relax. It's like BrainWare. You got to stay on it and you'll finally break through. We'll get it. And they said, yeah, we can get it. Slow down. And I thought, no, that was a byproduct, really, of just what the product does offer. Well, when we first started out, we had our own little mini pilot program, because before I want to introduce anything, I have to really be convinced also that it fits with our children. And so we had an after-school program. So we started with the after-school program. And that was fine. It's not the best that I would recommend, only because, yes, we're there 3 days a week or 2 days a week, you know, for the length of time. But something always comes up. You know, we've got soccer practice, we're going to grandma's house, or whatever it is. And all of a sudden they would miss a time, okay? And then well, they'd miss 2 times. I'm thinking, okay, when this happens, it's really, I mean, you can make it up at home the way it's set up, but usually that wouldn't happen. Having a structure during the day is ideal. So we really thought about how to do this, and we picked 3rd grade, because in 3rd grade, that's really when the brain is really molding. They're learning their multiplication, okay? They're learning cursive writing. They're doing all of that kind of thing. So I thought, you know what, let's put it in the curriculum in 3rd grade. And so we have it 3 times a week. One is one of their technology periods, because it is so easy to implement or monitor. Once it takes maybe an hour to even train the teachers, because truthfully it monitors itself. What you as a teacher have to do is really just be there to coach. So the technology teacher, the kids would come in, put their headsets on, and I love it because it's silence. The kids were great.
Yeah.
And so they would do it in technology. They did it in one of their library times, okay? And then the homeroom teacher, the 3rd grade homeroom teacher, took it for one shot. So there were really 3 teachers, and it fit in beautifully. And I know we are always responsible for, you have to have so many minutes in technology, so many minutes in language arts, so many minutes in math. There is so much in there that you can certainly justify, yes, you are doing math, you are doing reading, you are doing that. So it does fit any state requirements. But I would highly recommend that it's during the regular school day. You have much better control that way. In the Catholic schools, what we really do is we have our student support plan, okay, and working with children with special needs, okay. And what we've really noticed, and especially our Title I children, are using the Safari, BrainWare Safari. And I think it's important to give them the opportunity. And in fact, one of our teachers really just raved about it. She saw such an improvement in this one little child that came in when she was in 3rd grade, and now she has just blossomed. She's in 5th grade. And we were just talking about it yesterday in the lounge. They said to see Mary and to see where she's come from when she first came in and to see where she is now. And I think it was the BrainWare that just gave her the leg up. Okay, when she transferred in, she's coming from a low-income family, and it's I've said this many times. When children from low-income families come in, it's not that they're stupid. They were poor, and they just didn't have the opportunities that many other children have. And so when you transfer into a private school such as ours, we usually see it takes 2 to 3 years for them to get caught up to where everyone else their age level is, and that's kind of expected. Once we implemented BrainWare Safari, we've noticed in these children, within the 12 weeks, you've already jumped 1 to 2 years. So you've already begun to close that gap. And so that's really a real benefit. And now seeing her in 5th grade and just see how she's blossomed, I think BrainWare played a big part in it. To really make anything effective, you need to work together. That's number one. You can't just drop off any program, software, and you must have parent buy-in, you have to have student buy-in, you've got to have all the teachers buy-in. So you start with your staff, and you have them understand what the program is, And then you have them play with the program, and you realize this is not a kid's program. This thing is tough. I mean, it really does. When I first took the program and played with it myself, and I'm like, oh, this one's easy. This one's, I can do this, I can do it. And then all of a sudden, it's okay, Lou. You keep trying. Good job. You can do it. I was like, what? How are these kids going to do this? But what was amazing to me is because as an adult, you know where your strengths are and you know where your challenges are. And that program had me pegged. I'm like, I can't do this game because of my short-term memory or whatever. It did. So that convinced me, first of all. So your teachers need to play with it so they understand it. Then we had a parent meeting. Being a private school, I thought, okay, where am I going to get the funding for this? We had already started our school year. Okay, I don't have the extra funds. But I pulled in our first pilot program, we had 15 students. And I pulled in those parents, and we picked the students, and I wanted the very, very bright, the straight A student. I wanted those that are in Title I, those that have difficulty reading, and your average kid. We tried to just do our own mini. So we handpicked that first group. Had a parent meeting. Said, okay, parents, here's the deal. Your children have been picked for various reasons. Somewhere you fall on this level. It's a pilot program. I'm testing it out, but I don't have any money to do it. So it's going to cost you X dollars. And they all went, what? And I'm like, okay, we'd love to have you participate. And that parent meeting I think is absolutely critical. I spend an hour explaining how the brain works, okay, and how this program works, and why it's so important. And when you understand how the neurons fire, that it must be done 2 to 3 times a week. You can't do it one day, wait 2 weeks, and then try it again. It's not going to work. Real simple. So once they understand that, and I had 2 in this group of 15, and I knew we have many on the tuition assistance because we're on the federal food program. Okay, so many of our children qualify for that, and so we had scholarships. So I only had to pay for 2 children out of the 15. What was interesting was the program, again, is only halfway through. It's like 6 or 7 weeks. I had a parent walk in and had a check in his hand. He goes, here, this will pay for licenses for the next 2 kids. And I'm like, what? And he goes, I've seen the difference already with my daughter. And I'm thinking, that's good. We did not even finish the pilot. And our next group, because I was going to do another pilot, I had 35 parents on a waiting list. How to get my kid's name on there. That was strictly from what they had learned from this pilot group. No announcements from me. We didn't even know what the final results were. Okay? And so we're like, this is a good sign. So then we did another pilot group. Again, it was after school. But the more we talked about it, we thought, boy, what would really be great? Because the scores were related to how many times they were there. Mm-hmm. The one parent says, oh, no, the program didn't work. I said, isn't this funny? Your kid was absent 9 times. It's not going to work, guys. And you can buy the product right now online. Any parent can do it. And I say that at the parent meeting. You want to buy it? Go ahead and buy it. Do it at home. Because the one mother said, I really want to do it. And you're all gung-ho. And for the first 2 weeks, it's great. And then all of a sudden, well, we missed one lesson. And then by the 4th week, and before long, it's not, So you really want it controlled. So keeping it controlled right within your school is really, ideal. So so that really talked about, how I'm trying to get everyone involved. And then with the children, when I have this meeting, having the children see what the different games, as they refer to them, are, they're really kind of excited. They're thinking, okay, this should be fun. And that's how you get everyone really hooked together. We asked even some of the kids, have you noticed any difference? And we asked a couple of high school kids, and it was kind of interesting. He said the one was a bright child to even start with, all right? And he says, well, the biggest thing that I've noticed is that I would always have to go back and look at all my homework again. I have to really get it organized, recheck it, because like I said, he was a very good student. He said, my memory has improved so much, and I said that I don't even have to go back and double check everything, because I've noticed I had fewer and fewer mistakes, and it really helped me in that respect. Again, a lot has to do with the memory, remembering things in sequence, as far as, okay, I want you to go out and go into the garage, feed the dog, don't forget to bring in the garbage can, and so forth. And the kid will go, okay, and come back with the garbage and forgets to feed the dog, all right? Because, that is sequence
Right.
that the brain is trying to remember.
So they can order,
And
yes.
so what they've noticed is by playing these games, some of the games say, okay, let's remember this stuff in order, and that's what give them a strong. Oh, attention is improved a considerable amount. By that, because you are concentrating so hard, and we've noticed that some children that had very short attention spans, it slowly begins to expand and grow, and teachers have commented on that, yes. It really fits in very, very nicely. Common Core is really talking about the teaching methods that you do especially the essential questions, making real critical thinking skills. Teachers have to learn how to create deeper thinking, critical, essential questions. So the teachers spend a lot of time in this area. So the children are asked to do higher order thinking, and I think BrainWare has really added to this, respect, because they have to solve problems. They have to stop and think, all right, how am I going to solve this? How am I going to do this? And so those neural pathways begin to set. So this next year, when we really blow out the Common Core standards and so forth that I think all schools are going to, I think the BrainWare is going to help. You can spend a lot of money on different technology or whatever, and it's very difficult sometimes. The teacher's got to be specially trained, and to get implemented, this is seamless. This is so easy, and I think that's a real benefit. Just the way it's implemented right within the classroom. That's why the teachers love it. You want to be able to make sure you've got the really good teachers. You've got to have teachers that will stand behind the kid and coach the child. Because if you sit back, and you literally can do this. I mean, one of our after-school programs, you saw a direct relationship. The one that wasn't real active and wasn't really involved, those kids' scores were lower. And it's so simple. You just have to go and say, let me see your scores. As a principal, I was a kind of a highly motivational item, because he said, oh, Dr. Whitaker's coming in to check to see how you're doing. And I would come up and say, all right, let me see your scores. And they would show me, and in that one chart shows me what games are completed. Well, sure enough, the one little gal, she'd go all the way across. I said, whoa, wait a minute. How are you supposed to do this? You're supposed to play every game. What is this telling me? She goes, that's where my brain is strong. I said, right, and what's the purpose of this? To make my brain stronger. So you have to do what? Because I have to play the games that are hard. I'm like, so they understand. They understand the purpose. I said, all right, so that's what we're going to do. I know you enjoy it. I'm not going to say just always stick to the hard ones. But if you do all of your fun stuff and easy ones, then it's going to get harder and harder. So you want to keep, rotating that. What we do at our private school, and I think this is rather interesting, we don't have it in our budget at all. The parents pay for it. The parents pay for it 100%. In other words, when I have money, I have scholarships set aside, and thanks to your company, you've helped us on those scholarships. But we just explained to the parent, I said, okay, this is what we like to do, and this is one of the fees, and I haven't had anyone say, no, I'm not going to pay that. They absolutely see the value in it. So for a private school, when you have a school that says, I haven't got any money, I said, sit down with the parents. Explain what it is. I mean, as a parent, yes, I would pay that. I mean, because it's so reasonable. You have title funds. You can use your title funds for this. So many private schools, public schools can certainly do that, using any kind of funds in that respect. The whole idea of really preparing the child, heightening their capabilities, heightening their cognitive skills, so they're better prepared to learn. And by doing that, then that really does raise the teacher, proficiency right within the classroom. What I love about the BrainWare, they provide a beautiful report every day the child is on that computer. And this report has every game listed, how many times it took them to play each one of those games. Okay, so when you interpret that as a teacher, when you interpret this, you said, you know, I sensed that she was having problems with this. She's going to have difficulties with this assignment because she can't remember. She has difficulty in spelling because she has short-term memory loss. All right, so when you go to do your differentiated instruction, you've got all this concrete data right smack in front of you. So it helps the teacher design the lesson so it's geared exactly to those students. You 4 kids over here, you need to work on this assignment and do it this way. You 4 can work over here and do it that way. And so that really helps. So it really improves the teacher, and the teacher can then spend time where she should be working with those in those special areas where they're really weak. It's been fabulous. It's one of the best companies ever. As far as the training goes, once we got our basic training, it is online, constant support. I mean, we can call them at any time. And they also help us analyze children's scores. Well, how come this child, we're struggling here or whatever? Because, oh, we'll try this, try that. So there's all that extra support that we really didn't expect. No, they're a great company to work with. We're very pleased with that. Truthfully, education's changing at a very rapid rate, and technology is key in every school system. Children are very comfortable with it, and you know the old format of coming into a classroom and sitting in straight rows and having lecture all day long is not going to make it. Our kids are not going to learn. We have got to start using techniques that they are used to, that they're comfortable with. Using the iPads in the classroom, using programs such as BrainWare Safari, that kind of thing, using the white interactive boards. You need them. Research has told us time and time again, the more involved you get the child and teachers and everybody working together, the better chance that they have of learning. But we really need to, but the children need to understand how the brain works. That's critical. And how they learn, what kind of learner they are. We start in age 3 with teaching about the brain. We've got lessons in there, and they can talk to you about dendrites and neurons and how we learn, and by the time they leave our elementary school, they already know what type of learner they are. When you know what type of learner they are, and you know where your strengths and weaknesses are, and they go into high school and they go into college, it's really interesting when the older kids come back and says, boy, you really helped me when I have to learn something. They go, what are the techniques that Dr. Whitaker went over? You know, what are we supposed to be doing? So really teaching and making sure our teachers really understand neuroscience and how to learn. That is absolutely essential. Truthfully, I'm kind of disappointed in how long it's taking. I've been involved in neuroscience, I want to say 15, 20 years ago, in all honesty. I remember going to the first brain conference, and I was so impressed with that because you've got half the room were neuroscientists, half the room were educators, and they're sitting down talking to one another. And we thought, wow, how unique. And I thought, how ridiculous. We should understand about the brain. That's what we work with every day. You wouldn't have a mechanic or a car salesman go in and try and sell a car and not understand what type of motor it is. You have to understand how it even operates. So our teachers really should have had this. And I was starting my study and understanding, and I can remember, I've been in for a good 10 years. And I was asked to do a workshop for student teachers at a college up in Wisconsin. And I said, why am I doing that? They know all this. None of it was in the curriculum. None of it. Just now, after 20-some years, is it going into the curriculum. See, and that's where it's got to start. The teachers really need to be educated about, this should be like Education 101. Should be neuroscience and understanding how the brain works. Because once you understand how it works, then you apply, okay, this is how children learn. This is how we think. You know, how do we make it stronger? All of that stuff really should be, and it should start right here at EC3 and go all the way through. Be very careful because it is now the new hot topic. Any the word, as soon as it says brain or neuroscience or brain-based learning or whatever, I think it's like an oxymoron when I pick up a workbook and it says brain-based ditto sheets. There's no such thing, okay? That's not how the brain learns. So yes, you have to be very, any company, before you buy a product, number one, read their white papers, read their research behind it. Talk to someone who really has used the product. See what the results are. Because yeah, you want to jump on the bandwagon and think, well, this sounds great. But do your research first. That's number one. That's a great little story. We had just started our pilot program, and I had a dad to come in to see me. And I'll be honest, I made one mistake. When I first started our pilot program, we only wanted it like through second grade through sixth grade, because I figured I want to watch these kids for the next 2 years. So I didn't offer it to seventh and eighth, and that was a mistake because it sent a message, this is like a baby, this is for little guys, okay? And they are cartoon characters, okay? So they are, it's not heavy warriors and all this kind of thing that might appeal to the older ones. But I had a dad come in, an eighth grader come in, and he said, I really want my child, he needs this program. I said, yeah, he really could benefit from it. I said, he can take it. He goes, no, he doesn't want to do it. I'm like, oh, okay. And that was my fault, the way I had first introduced it. So I said, all right, let me think about this. And so what we did was, I'm thinking, I know. And I called him in and two others. One was an average student, one was a very bright student. I had all three of them in my room, and I knew I wanted the one to definitely take the class. And so I said, well, guys, we're in this new program called BrainWare Safari. And he said, yeah. I said, it's like a computer program and so forth. He goes, yeah, I kind of heard about that. I said, any you guys gamers? And the one in particular goes, oh, yeah, we're gamers. We love playing. I said, really? I said, you know what? I've never seen the final game. Oh, I don't know what's at the end of this program, because nobody's completed all 168 games or whatever. He said, no one's completed. Yeah, no one's completed it at our school. So I don't know. And is any chance you guys could take this on so I can just fly through it for me? And they went, well, yeah, I think so. And I said, I would love to see the results. I said, I may have to pull you from class once in a while just to make sure that this is done, because I wanted still to stay within the time limit. And they went, well, okay, well, that just sparked the fire. And the one guy, the one that we really wanted, who needed the program, one day, and he was a little challenge himself. One day they said, oh, come on down to the computer lab. They want to see you because of, the student. So I got on and said, what's up? And he said, well, I finished the program. I said, what? I said, you finished the program? He said, you're kidding me. You finished the program? And he goes, yeah, I did. I said, so what happened? He goes, well, there's fireworks. It says congratulations. So I'm like, you're kidding. Okay, so tell me about it. And we were so elated, with that. So that got him more or less involved. And then it kind of spread. Well, who else can finish it? Nobody else can finish this in the school. Well, that challenged the next two. Okay, because their third grader is not going to finish it. It's difficult. But that's how it got there. But I do also want to mention that the high school, I know in Citrus County, one of the high schools is looking at it. They have at-risk students that they have. They meet with last period of the day 3 times a week, and they give them study skills. So tell me, what would you rather do as a high school kid? Sit there and listen to someone give you a lecture as far as this is how you should study, this is how you should read, bring in your homework, or come on in and play some video games, and you'll see a huge difference.